Hey y'all, it's Sarah, and this is the end of my 12th week on remote year. And today I'm gonna talk about why sometimes it's important to do things before you even really know the goal or the point or how those things are gonna end. So if this is your first time joining me, I am currently on a year program called Remote Year, in which I am traveling, living, and working remotely for 12 months, and I live in a different country every month, and I am sharing a video at the end of each week to help me remember some of the things I've learned throughout the year, and also hopefully help some other people out there who are doing long-term travel, thinking about it, or just thinking about some of the things that I'm thinking about throughout the year. Like I said, this is the end of my 12th week, which means that it's the end of my third month, which also means that I'm a quarter way done with the year. As a reminder, I've been in Lima, Peru for the first month, Santiago, Chile for the second, and then just finished my month in Medellin, Colombia, which was absolutely beautiful and amazing. And today is actually the day where we're all traveling to our next country, which is Mexico. We'll be staying in Mexico City, but I am actually in New York City. I have a friend's wedding this weekend, and so I decided to skip the transition week with the whole group and fly to New York City 2 days ago, see my friends, get to celebrate their wedding. They are actually letting me stay in their beautiful Brooklyn apartment, so I get a few days back in the city I was in before I went to remote year. And I am here now talking about my reflections from week 12. If you have been following, you may have noticed that I took a couple of weeks off from the video, which was not my goal. So I think the last one I posted was end of week 9. I did 2 from Colombia, and then I didn't do my last 2 there. And that's actually tied into what I want to talk about today. So the last 2 weeks, honestly, the reason I didn't do a video was because I think I've been noticing my head was a little bit like foggy the last 2 weeks. I wasn't like thinking as clearly, and so anytime I sat down to do a video, I felt like I wasn't clear on what I was gonna say. I didn't have a specific message, or like I sat down and it just felt like it wasn't coming out right, and so it stopped me from posting anything. And now that I'm back in New York, I'm kind of getting re-energized from the city, and went through some things personally in the last couple of days, and it's actually given me time to kind of like get back into my energized, mindful state. Also, I've been back on my meditation habit. I stopped doing it as regularly because I think sometimes we think like, oh, we're doing good now. I don't need to force the habit as much, but the whole point is you get out of shape from meditation and mindfulness if you don't do it regularly. So I'm back on that, and want to keep on focusing and continuing on that through the rest of the year. But anyway, my point is, this week being back in New York, thinking about why I didn't post a video for the last 2 weeks, and also some of the things I've been doing while I was here has made me come to appreciate something I don't think I ever would have before, which is how sometimes you need to do things, or sometimes you don't need to, but sometimes it's okay to do things that you don't know exactly where they're gonna lead. It's okay to start things when you don't exactly know the goal yet. People who know me professionally, I'm very, very goals driven. I always have like a plan and structure, very detail oriented, and that I often treat my life similarly. And I like to know exactly why I'm doing things. I like to have goals. I set up my monthly goals, weekly goals, like very structured. But I've done some major things lately where that wasn't the case, remote year being one of them. I knew why I was going into it and why I wanted to do it, but to be honest, I didn't exactly know how it was gonna turn out. I didn't know if I was gonna do the whole year. I still don't. I didn't know if I was gonna wanna continue to work remotely or live in different countries by the end of the year. I still don't. I didn't know everything I was gonna get out of it. Another thing that I went into completely unknown was the job part of remote year. I had actually quit my job before remote year, and I signed up for a remote year, having some savings, knowing I could do the first few months, but honestly, having no idea how I was gonna pay for like the months after the beginning, because I didn't have a job yet. I knew I could figure it out. I had faith in myself to do that, but I didn't know what my plan was. And if you had asked me what job I could have gotten at the beginning of the year and what my plan was, I actually would have told you something that was far more limiting than what I actually have figured out and am now doing as my job now. And so I guess the point of this rambling this week is for me to realize if I had come on remote year and had been forcing myself to like follow certain rules, like you must have a full-time job before you come here, or you must not be in a relationship when you come on remote year. I actually have kind of been in one the last couple of months that recently came to an end for, good reasons on both sides, and it ended as well as it can. But if I had come in with these like set rules, I don't think I ever would have ended up in this mind space and this like really amazing experience that I'm in now. I'm actually in a job working for a company that I never would have thought would let me work full-time remote, a stage of a company that I never thought I could have done on a flexible work schedule. And it's a million times better than the job I would have thought I could have gotten had I forced myself to get a job before remote year. So my point is that I don't think you should do things without any plan. Like I knew I had X amount of savings. I've worked for the last 10 years to have a certain amount of skills, to have the confidence in myself to do that. And it's like you have to have certain levels of preparedness. But beyond that, I'm so happy that I just trusted myself to figure this year out and kind of just saw where the universe, I know that sounds like woo-woo, but I just saw where the universe would take me. Rather than trying to force this plan, I need to do it this way, I need to have these things, I kind of said, you know what? Looking for a job right now doesn't feel right. Let me take a break and see what happens. And what happened was I got connected to some people to do freelance work. I worked really hard on that freelance job. That turned into something more full-time. At the same time, I found this other coaching thing that I love doing because I was searching so hard for a job. Now I have that on a flexible schedule. Through that, I've also realized I love coaching people one-on-one because I had to do that to make some money in the meantime. So I'm actually thinking I'm gonna continue that as a side business. And once again, I'm rambling again, but my whole point is that sometimes actually giving up to just what will happen and not trying to force things into this specific plan of yours will actually lead you down a better path than you could have imagined yourself. And so my takeaway from the end of week 12 of remote year is it's okay to not always have a plan and a specific end goal in mind, as long as you're being aware of what components in your day-to-day life or whatever you're doing make you happy, you're taking care of yourself, and you have some type of foundation to know that no matter what does happen, you'll be okay. Because it could have been the total opposite, and I could have ended up actually here still without a job and needing to find other ways to make ends meet, or maybe I could have ended up here and not even enjoying remote year and having to come up with a backup plan when I leave, and those things could still be possible. But now I've also, on the positive end of the spectrum, reached something that I didn't even think was possible. So moral of the story is I think week 12 of remote year, I'm learning to, within a framework, like within a responsible spectrum, kind of give things up to the universe a little bit and trust in myself that if I'm doing things that I know are right for me and that I know feel right for me, and I'm doing them for me and not to fit some specific view of what I think we should be doing, then I can have the faith that things will work out as long as I work hard and as long as I am true to myself and as long as I'm like really putting in the effort, that you can really make things happen even more than you might have thought, and definitely more than if you had tried to force this specific rigid plan like I sometimes used to do. So that's my week 12 reflections. I'm heading to a wedding in like a little bit, going outside of Philadelphia for it in Pennsylvania. And next week, end of week 13, when you hear from me, it will be the end of my first week in Mexico City. So I will see you there. Bye, gals and guys and y'all.